Hello, everybody. I wonder if you are experiencing the same sort of thing as us, with the disorientation of days with bank holidays. So we thought we would start our recording to you with this. Pop us back. Can you see us now?
Yes.
Good. That was sent from Steve and Margot. And it looks like it's in the dead of night. It might be blackbirds singing in the dead of night, like the Beatles had their song about that. Um, but it is an incredible recording. It's very quiet where you are, isn't it, Steve and Margot? It's very without any sort of other noises.
A
Really
little bit of
beautiful.
car. I
Did you
heard a
hear a little
little.
bit of car?
Yeah, but that also maybe it was here. I don't think it was, but I felt like I heard a little bit of car.
Mhm. It could have been here.
Yeah.
Maybe you had a little bit of
Yeah.
car here. Anyway, this is at the edge of the morning, I guess, and we are sort of both Hermione and I starting to feel a little bit frayed around the edges with this week of not quite sure which day it actually is. But there isn't anything you could be feeling that doesn't be hugely enhanced by a little bit of birdsong. I think actually there was a piece of research published just recently to say exactly that, that it
Mm.
was, we should all try to get to hear some birdsong as often as possible because it has a way of connecting with our bodies that's
Mm.
calming and sort of centering in a certain kind of way. So I definitely have found that listening to that. So thank you very much for sending it, Steve. The It feels ages ago, but we've only just sort of finished our spring out of the ordinary series, and we are in that in-betweeny space, awaiting the start of our next season, which starts actually really not very far away at all.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd send you a little message, maybe look through the photographs that we've got. There are very, very many. That was a really bumper crop of photographs in the album for the spring one. And perhaps you find, as I do, that whilst I looked at the photographs and what I thought would happen was that we would have made it into glorious spring by now. But in fact, although there's a lot of blossoms on the trees everywhere, the weather here is absolutely horrible. It was hailstones and blowing a gale as I left my work this morning. So that was slightly less spring-like than I was anticipating. Although a lady in the cafe did tell me that it's going to be a heat wave next week.
Is it?
I mean, apparently here. I mean, I'm not going
Wow.
to. I've no reason to disbelieve her. And I guess by the time you receive this, on whichever day
Maybe
next
it's
week we send
happening.
it to you, it might actually be hot.
Yeah.
Who knows? So let's have a little look
Mm.
through the photographs that we've got. I'm going to just organize myself to share that with you, and we'll just sort of scroll through them slightly and mention anything that crops up that's
Mm.
occurred during the spring series, in case you want to relive that as well and you want to look through the photos with us.
And this started with just one or two photos, didn't it, Caroline?
Yeah, and we started with this folder with no photos in it. So
Yes.
we shared you the folder and asked if you wanted to add some photographs to it, which you did. And now there are over 100 in there. We were just trying to add those videos into the folder, but so far I've not managed to do it. Right. What can you see here, Hermione? Does that look
So
okay?
there's the little grey box at the top, which I guess when you start scrolling is going to go over some of the images. But I guess we can cross that bridge as and when we come to it. Oh
Yes.
no, actually, maybe keep scrolling a bit. Maybe it's not going to be a problem. A little bit of a problem.
I
Um,
know. It's not ideal, really, is it?
but we
Still,
can see
still
them.
learning with all these text things.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get rid of them. Now there's, oh no, I've gone
Oh
incognito.
no.
Did that show?
No, no. Well, the grey box kind of covered whatever it was that was underneath was underneath it. So,
Oh dear, sorry about that. The tech is
um,
wearing, shall we say. I'm sure you find the same. So I love these first ones. I sometimes juggle the order, you might have noticed, so that when we share them, we can bring to the top the sorts of things that we've been meaning to talk about or meaning to look at, or the ones that we haven't quite done that yet. So they're in a sort of mixed array at the moment. You might find them mixed more close to spring and further away from spring. And there are some very tantalising, very blue skies, especially these with the teasels against them. That was a highlight for me. That session where we improvised with the music imposed on the teasels, and it reminded us of plain chant. I loved that conversation that day. That was quite sort of midway through, I think. We had Hugo with us and Marid, and Steve had shared the image of the teasels, which came from Louise, and shared that with his designer friend who had put the notation over the top. And then we'd worked with the notation as if reading the notes, and it had reminded Christine of plain chant. And I shared some images in there later because I went to an orchestra rehearsal only to find that some of the music started off with plain chant. There's the apparently flying frog here. Really actually swimming.
yeah.
We could have tried some music for him. It's sort of, there's a strange thing that happens, isn't there? Because it's almost like all our experiments and all our efforts to make music with these images, then the fact that we have done that makes these possibilities all kind of live alongside the images to me. I think, oh, I wonder what we might do with that.
Yeah.
This
Maybe
was
maybe it would be possible to bring some along with us to the next series if there are any that we I don't know, don't want to let go of yet.
to carry
Maybe
some of the
maybe
photographs through.
maybe we can carry some through. I don't know how many. We don't want to set any rules, but maybe if there are any that people feel very strongly attracted to or
Haven't
attached
had
to,
haven't
haven't
had
had their
their
moment.
moment in the spotlight.
Yeah.
This one is an echo of the previous season, in fact, isn't it? Because this is Leslie and Mike sent this near their house, and they sent it because they had previously been looking at the view from these benches along the edge of the waterway, only to find that now, with all of that rain, it's spectacularly flooded. And that it kind of mirrors a little bit the teasels with those grasses in the foreground. So there were ever so many beautiful things. And I'm always struck by the way that you could link them all in so many different ways. You may see links in these pictures that we don't see ourselves, or that we talk about, and then you see something different in it the next time. So these spherical shapes here and here. This was from John Samuel. We haven't seen very much of John Samuel this season, but you've sent such a lot of brilliant photographs in. It's lovely to have them. These plants on the cusp of blue blossoming, there, new shoots, buds coming into leaf. It's pretty amazing. Is that a magnolia? I'm not quite sure. I can't ask you at the moment, Leslie.
I'm
We're in
definitely
video.
not the person to ask.
We'll think about it. Something to ask you. And these flowers that all overlap with each other in terms of their colours and their shapes, and the pass the parcel effect, or the Chinese whispers effect, of sharing our ideas for this project and finding that people who've been in the sessions before, even quite a long time before, think of us and wonder what it is we'll make of these pictures, like this one that I've uploaded, but it came from Hannah. She'd said something lovely about that. Does it show the comments here? Do you see the comment? I've probably got the grey box
It's
over
covered
the
by
top.
grey box. Yeah.
Hannah sent this to us at the edge of disappearing, a leaf just on the cusp of completely disintegrating. She took it the previous week, in February this is, after a winter on the ground in the elements. She said she loves that you can see the skeleton so clearly, and the patch is not yet dissolved, almost shine like bronze. Looks like it's been dipped in glitter, which is amazing because it has such correlation with those golden shapes that the photographs before we just had. And there's a lot of overlap of these moments captured, like here. Hannah captured this one as well, almost at the same day as the other one. I mean, this is back in February, and it looks like this is bursting into bud. This one is still related to winter, and Louise's picture looks so similar. And there along there, all these flowers that have shown their colours, quite literally. Maybe like being on the, what's it called in Harrogate?
Oh my goodness.
I can't remember it.
The wait is on the tip of my tongue. The Stray.
The Stray.
Yeah.
The Stray. Well done, thank you. It was nowhere near the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what day it is, so the chances of us remembering The Stray
that
today.
was good, though.
So today is Friday.
Today is Friday.
So we are meeting today because it's a day we usually would have had a session.
Yes.
But I, for some reason, was convinced it was Tuesday. So it's all quite discombobulating. But it is The Stray. The Stray is the answer.
So we imagine that all these flowers captured elsewhere, so much yellow, such sunshine, such a lot of bursting into bloom, and that an amazing sort of moment where something that looks as if it's been preparing to bloom into a flower for such a long time suddenly actually appears. We had this punky butterfly, which I love that. When you put this in here, Louise, you sent us this, I think, separately. So I've uploaded it. That's why it says my name by it. But it actually came from Louise. And she had called that Bad Hair Day, which I didn't notice until I opened it up later. So after we had improvised with it. But I think we definitely got the idea of punky hairstyle. Shadows and stripes. The sort of brickwork geometry patterns that we found as well. And here's a little starling there that could be, we've put that cruelly next door to that little cat. That beautiful little fluffy cat with the ear tips so fluffy, and now no longer with John and Louise. And that we know captured a bird at least one occasion. These were the ones that we started with, weren't they? The edge of the coast. Michael's a woodwinning picture with the edge of rainbow in there that's sometimes there, sometimes not. And these weaving paths into the future, leaning from frosty to spring-like on the right-hand side picture, and the Malaysian picture of the tea plantations weaving their way down to a path which looks so similar. Marriage cherry blossoms on the day when we were joined by... Was that the day we were joined by Ririka, where she talked about the Japanese cherry blossoms?
So. Yes.
And the fact that Chris and Geraldine were with us that day, and that they have a daughter in Japan.
Who was also with us that day?
Who was also with us. No, she wasn't there that day.
Was she not?
I can't remember, but Chris... This is not good. My head's in a total mess. I think we need to stop it.
Should we stop it? Or should we carry on?
Huh? Just can't manage to formulate a thought.
It's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's very real.
Very real. I'll leave it there and see if I can manage to do any editing. If not, you'll get the bloopers and all version. So we were trying to say that Geraldine and Chris's daughter was with Chris that day, and Geraldine was coming back, and then she spoke some Japanese to Ririka, and I think it would be very nice for people to know that how much the project had meant to her, how much she appreciated the chance to improvise and to express herself in that way, because she found it quite difficult to express herself in English. And I think she was delighted to hear you speaking Japanese to her. But the fact of being able to see these things and exchange ideas that have such depth, and then to try to conjure them up in music in ways that she had actually never done before, she said. I think that's lovely for you to know. I certainly felt it was lovely for me to know. and for us to know that that's the way the students feel about this project.
Mm.
We didn't look at these two pictures of John Samuels, and I wanted to. I saved them actually. The third one is here as well. Beautiful light in that one too. But we were hoping that we'd be able to work on them with you there, John Samuel. So in the end, they didn't get a look in, those two. But look
Maybe they
how
get carried
similarly
through.
they are oriented to the original ones. These edges of that misty equinox, which is winter. And I don't know when this one is, but it's gorgeous, gorgeous picture. And you've been out and about, John Samuel. These were exhibition in Rochester. These are tiny, I don't know if you can see, tiny purple doves. They might be origami.
Mm.
There was, does it say origami? Peace doves artwork created from thousands of individually handmade paper doves. Overlapping with colours in this swirls. Now we're working on a video that we can share with you where we created this one with the sound of the homemade flute that Steve had made for Margot and that she played, and we improvised with bottles and flutes. You might be amazed at what we managed to do if you weren't in that session. And these curly crisp leaves that look like lemon meringue pie. That was Louise's as well. And the extraordinary coincidence of these two, separated by lots of years, having this extraordinary edge of light that just looks so unreal. You'd think that there's no way that could be real. And then, lo and behold, another day, it was very similar, strange kind of yellowy light. This is Katie's cat. Looking very authoritative. And the edges of this wall that we loved. That looks like it's more close to spring than Steve's first pictures that he sent. This one, monkey puzzle tree, which looks very similar to a photograph we had of the duck with its arms, its wings outstretched. I put those next to each other, I think. We had those patterns of edges of knitting and crochet. There we are, there's that.
Yes, that's right.
Goose with its wings outstretched.
And the ice lollies underneath.
Geraldine's glorious Shetland Isles knitting and ice lollies underneath. That prompted a little poem from me. And Simon was with us at the beginning of that. It feels a very long time since we saw him. That was the edge of his home in Ireland. I think that's where he said, isn't it? Can't remember exactly where.
I can't remember the name of the place.
Echoes, tea plantations, rolling mist, reflections of edges.
I love this one with the bike. Did we spend any time with this one with the
We
bike?
didn't. This is Louise's as well. She's got such a
love
great
this one.
eye.
This is great.
I want to ask if that's John on the bike, because there was a theme of bike, wasn't there, in the photographs that we had before, with those incredible pictures of a bike doing a wheelie in front of the Museum of Art. One of my favourite sorts of pictures. Beach huts, off-duty seaside, looking a bit sort of English. And the original ones, these edges of light, geometric patterns of light that overlapped with Geraldine and Chris's special place, the coast path. What do they call that? There's another word that's just not coming to my mind. It's a boardwalk, isn't it? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, I think so.
Boardwalk wrapped in wire there to keep it all together and make it not too slippy to walk on. Edge of beach, edge of light on the wall, captured by John Samuel, and these amazing geometrical shapes of ice that are Louise's. See how closely everything speaks to each other. Edges of beach, edges of windows, these amazing Bradford pictures. And then homemade flute that featured late on and
This is
conjured up
quite
an airy wisp of bird. Funnily enough, when I was at my parents' over Easter, a bird flew into the window. Nothing like as spectacular as that one, but we both sort of looked up rather brutally and watched it sort of shaking its head dizzily and wandering off. It was just a pigeon. I shouldn't say just, should I? It's a bit
I don't know.
pigeonist.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look, here is a pigeon
Yes.
laying a large egg. Steve said about this one. That's a large egg, isn't it? Plain chant. Here's Margot amongst the teasels, providing a new teasel score against her white coat. Daffodils, which have come and gone, and without there really actually being any very much sun. Tiny secret church. And look here, this was John Samuel's garden, thinking it was making its way to spring, but not quite. Still not quite there. I bet it still looks a bit wet and windy there. There have been an absolute plethora of pictures to browse through, and each one of them comes with a real feeling of who sent it and what we said about it. It's like they gain a sort of rich story. Each one is gathering its own little story as it's going along. And now we are at the beginning of thinking about the next series and what we should make that one to be about. So if you have some images from this folder that you were really keen to bring in that we can see again, that would be lovely, and we're very happy to do that and to talk about them and create some music with them. I'm going to stop showing this one because we wanted to wrap up our video with the morning song of the bird, bookend it like we might do with our framing music. I don't know if you noticed in the framing music I added a kind of urban soundscape with a nod to Steve's collection of sounds. So I think we did try quite hard to do that. That was one of the things that was a little open-ended path we could have taken, and we didn't go very far along it in the end. We did try to do that. As you found, it's quite tricky because the files end up very large with a lot of sounds and they're hard to share and hard to maneuver. But maybe we've been making our own live sound effects, creating a sort of afflatus that Steve mentioned way back some weeks ago, creating a kind of feeling of connection elsewhere in the other world, a breath of divine inspiration about things. And we made our own soundscapes with instruments that we found, sounds of rice on trays and water bottles and gong-like things and bottles that we could play like flutes, creating that wispy, airy sound. So you might have an idea for what the theme should be for the summer. We might want to just continue on as we're doing and show pictures that you've taken that week. The reason for having the theme is that it means we can weave them together sort of retrospectively, and it sort of hangs in a space that's not completely governed by time. So I think I do quite like that idea. But we haven't decided what it is yet. Maybe you want to. And let's share this beautiful blackbird. You'll notice it's made it into the morning. I'll just need to get that organised to do. Here it is. Coming up, but I haven't shared it yet. Don't worry.
And along with this message, we'll also share the dates for the next series as well.
And if you want to see them, some of our experiments. So now let's see. Hide the meeting controls. Can you see this video?
Yes. The meeting control bar is still there, but I think that goes, does it? The one, yep, that's gone.
Here is the cusp of the morning. It's been lovely to travel with you. Look forward to the next series. We will see you very soon.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.